Hello and welcome to X-Plane 12, specifically the Airbus A350 here. We're going to give it a spin. Flight Factor. No planned flight today, nothing special. It's just the very latest beta here on the 1st of August 2023. What can you expect? So I've got the British Airways livery, and just before we hop into the cockpit, I have to say this is perhaps not the world's greatest livery. So if we zoom in, somebody's saying, what do you mean? That's what I mean. There's the Royal Mail logo that you see on the back here, as you can see, far from clear. And if we take a look here as well to the British Airways stuff, you see it's not very high resolution. I'm sure there are I'm sure there are higher resolutions, but this is not it. And one thing I did notice just before, if we take a look at the little caution symbol here on the front, you can see that although it's not the highest resolution in the world, is much higher together with some of the text here than perhaps on some of those items we see back there. You know, this logo here as well. Whether that's a legal thing or not, I don't know, but for now, let's jump on in. So this is how the aircraft begins, fully cold and dark. I will say what I see. As with all my videos, I'm in no way sponsored or affiliated by any of these guys, so if I say something's good or that it's not, it's because that's the way it is. Alright, so coming into the cockpit, one thing I noticed, at least with this aircraft, we have ourselves a working door, and if it's like before, which we'll check some of the other stuff, so you see here, like much higher res here on this open sticker, for example, and then some horrific resolution on whatever this is. This here looks terrible. This here looks a little better. Some of the light and shade here looks a little off, but whatever. Coming in here to first class, and yeah, carpet looks horrific. Seat backs look horrific, and then you can see for whatever reason slightly more detail on some of the magazines. The wine bottle stand looks pretty good. All right, let's go in. And again, I don't want this to be a very long video. It's going to be up, round and down. So coming upstairs then, and I'm by no means an expert. Back on the old games of brains, I flew the A350. Somebody said I should be embarrassed by my knowledge of the A350. It's like, you know, I like to fly many aircraft. I'm the expert of none. Actually, I'd say there's probably 2 aircraft that I'm really good at, and everything else I just wing it. Alright, so batteries on, and with that I'm now going to go as I think is the norm, top to bottom, left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Open this. This here is like an emergency, not an emergency, passenger data. I believe, although somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, it basically means Wi-Fi, I think. And so you want to turn stuff like that off for certain parts of the flight. I believe, but I could be wrong. And alright, so crew supply, let's get that on. Bus tie, we don't seem to have ground available, at least as far as I can tell, and that is done through this option here. And so I'm going to switch over to ground service, ground equipment. Yeah, here we go. So let's just do as many as are suitable. Stairs, chocks. Weird that chocks at first, but whatever. Passenger bus, fuel truck, luggage loader. Why not aircon? I think that's baggage loader. No, we've got luggage there, as in the main cargo hold. Cleaning truck, self-explanatory, but why not? Plane at gate, but it's not. And then we've got ground left and right, so there's 2 of them. And so that is that. And so now, doors and hatches, let's just say load config. Come outside, and there we go. So these models here, again, to do with the Flight Factor 350, not the ground handling plugin. The difference being, as you can see, there is no animation at all. But again, at least there is something. And if all that you need them for is a screenshot, well then it's great, ain't it? Alright, special service. That's a very nice way of saying we take your shit away. So there is that. Alright, a nice big fuel truck. Alright, jumping in then. So with power available, my side, your side, we'll tie it off, and now we will continue, but we will start with 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to go through real quick. Hydraulics. Test. Looks and sounds good. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Valve to automatic will leave this to low, and I'm going to set the temperatures to about an 11 o'clock position. Logo automatic nav lights on. Smoking signs on. Arm the lights. Okay, so those, you know, I like to... A big part of, in my opinion, is how you control things. You can't use the mouse wheel, even on these 3 positions. You've got to click. And so, like with this, nose light, we've got off, taxi, and on, which will be for your landing and stuff. Clearly, you're going to end up putting it through the wrong position when you don't want to. Same with the strobe light here. We've got off, auto, and on. So there is that. Again, I'm not a huge fan, but whatever. We'll set these to automatic. Cabin altitude... I don't know. I think if it's automatic, that one's taken care of. And again, I can't even use the mouse wheel for that. I've got to hold down. All right, and then top to bottom here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Those, by the way, you could use the mouse wheel for. So interesting. So the very big dials you can, but the smaller dials you can't. Nor any of the switches. Right, coming down here, I always like my integrated light, which in this case is called the trim light. We'll leave the rest off. And again, I'm not for a moment suggesting that this is going to be correct or by the book, but I am just going to have a look at the airfield information. We are Kilo Charlie Quebec Foxtrot. Kilo Charlie Quebec Fox. Always like to vary it a little bit. Sunny Callahan. Not a mainstream airport, as you can see. Very limited number of charts. AWOS 1842. So at least we can see if that's working. So let's start with that 1842. And I assume to switch. Or this one. There we go. Turn it on. Turn it up. Was it this one? 18425. 18425. Well, we'll soon see. If we don't hear anything before too long, we'll figure something else. Just tell you what, rather than waste any time, let's just grab the pressure from here. Forget it's that one there. Altimeters 3006. So they're currently set for QNH 1013. Now it's altimeters, and again, hold the mouse down. There we go, 3006. That's set. Right, winds are 00000, which basically means calm. Temperatures 32, so very hot, unlike where it is by me at the minute, despite being the middle of summer. So for the purposes of it being short, we will take off runway 190. There is no, or there are no SIDS and stars, so we'll go for the approach ANAV 19 as if we were coming in, and then there's missed approach. This is basically back to Brooklyn VOR. So we've got that. MSA for the area is 3,100. And if we miss, it's to the VOR 2000 and hold. So there is that. 1500, right turn 2000 and hold. So we've got it. So altitude, we're going to go higher than that. But if it all goes wrong, we know what we're doing. So let's just go to 6000. There is that. Heading. Mouse wheel for this, by the way. Would be able to spin the numbers a little quicker. We've seen some aircraft let you spin really fast. Again, it should be related to how fast am I spinning the mouse wheel. No arbitrary limit for whatever reason. Unless, of course, the real aircraft only lets you spin where your hand's going to be spinning and spinning for half an hour. But I can't imagine there is such an aircraft. But if there is, let us know. Show me. Always willing to learn. Right, let's clear up the MC. Let's come down here. And we've got the init page. And because there is no flight plan today, it is going to be Kilo Charlie Quebec Fox. And you can type, you can type so long as you select on here. And so you see when it's boxed like that. Kilo Charlie Quebec Fox. Enter, and then you see keyboard focus goes away. So that's a helpful thing. Kilo Charlie Quebec Fox, because why not the same one? Alternate Las Vegas. Okay, cruise flight level. Well, we're not going to go high, but just so we get above the 10,000 speed limit. Now, it would be 11,000 feet. Flight level, of course, Speed America don't kick in until 18, so there is that. Troposphere, I've not got a flight plan. I don't know if it's so, therefore if it is or isn't 36,000 feet. Trip winds HD 2000. If that means headwind 200 knots, I have no idea the trip winds. But clearly if we're taking off where we're landing from, overall it's going to be 0. HD 0. There we go. That's been accepted. Flight number 4452 to make it up, because why not? Now you can request, and I believe this ties in with your sim brief, which we're not using today. IRS 3 minutes, which is because it's set to realistic, that's fine. Departure runway, we've already said 19, and so I like, and I've always liked this click and drop interface. I've not known any other aircraft like it. We'll switch to the plan mode here, and again, that's not necessarily just because Flight Factor did a good job. It's the A350, right? There seems to be no other aircraft like this. I mean, you've got the same or very similar interface on some of the other Airbuses, but it's not point and click. You've got to use the MCDU, so it does a similar thing, but in a different way. I just like it. So runway 19, we've got SIDs, there are none, and transitions by extension. There's no transition if there ain't no SID, and that takes us to that point there. Now, because we're freestyling it and there's no flight plan, let's have a little look at Avitab. Toggle tablet here, and I'm just going to take a look at the maps. We're just going to arbitrarily pick something to the south. So I'm going to select to IFR low. Zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to look for something down here. How about Delta Yankee Echo Sierra. And so to do that, I think we just click on the disco, do we? Insert next waypoint, and then just type it in. If it is somewhere further down, it will be on the drop down, but it isn't yet because there aren't any at all. So Delta Yankee Echo Sierra. All right, hit enter, apply, weird, bit of a weirdism there to hit enter, apply, cancel. Anyway, you saw what I had to do, then it appeared. So there is now a disco. But you can see, oh, I say you can see, you can't. But if I zoom out, I assume you will see if I delete the discontinuity, unless that's over 40 miles, just before I embarrass myself. In fact, it's way more. I had no idea that Dyes was that far away. Okay, so good time to make a change. Let's go to TZ then instead. And so we'll take Dyes, and we shall... Well, I was hoping for some sort of edit, but I guess let's just go insert next waypoint and then we'll delete the old one, just so we're not deleting back to 0. So we'll go to TZ, enter once, enter twice brings me the ATC, which I don't want, so that's just my explain setting. I've been messing around with the right, so there's dice, so we'll delete that one. There's the disco, and there's TZ. So it does kind of work as you'd expect. Sometimes it's maybe just a delay. I can't tell if it's a delay or if it really is a little weird. Seems to be very little, if any, sounds associated with this. The only sounds I can hear is the aircraft fan. I don't want to call them packs because we didn't turn them on. And a sort of distant airport noise, but it's to do with our aircraft, not the airport or any other mods. Anyway, so there is TZ. I guess we could then swing, again, just real quick, right? So insert next waypoint. I'm just making this up on the fly now. Daffin, enter. Oh, I need to really change that. Enter, apply. Okay. And then from Daffin, enter next waypoint. I'm going to go to this VOR, which is Bravo Fox Mike. Enter, apply, and that's in. Great. I'm just going to clear out this disco, and now all of that in yellow. And if we take a look on here, that looks great. Let's just zoom in a notch. Perfect. And then from Bravo Fox Mike, we will figure our way back to base, and we will do that using the airports page once more. And it looks actually, this is the RNAV19. Again, we were sort of loosely just checking that there was nothing major we had to worry about on departure. So here's Bravo Fox Mike, or Brookley, and there's the nice approach. And so I assume if we select end of, so here's the disco. Airbus for some reason always has the airports twice at the end. I've never really understood that. I get it if it's an alternate, but it's not. Either way, we'll select arrival. It's going to be runway 19. The approach is going to be the RNAV19, which is, we see it there, RNV versus RWI, which is just, it's visual, or the VOR, but we're going for the RNAV. Via Bravo Fox Mike, beacon, star there was none, and trans there was none. So we'll rig that up and zoom in a little bit, and there. That looks great to me. Apply. And so with that, I think I can sort of hurry things along a little bit. I just want to check with regards to weight and fuel and all that. So if we come over to the airplanes page, being flight factor, weight, fuel, whether it's passengers, whether it's cargo, you can't change it unless A, you're on the ground, B, all your doors and hatches are open, or the relevant doors and hatches, and C, the ground stuff is there. So it's no good just opening a door and then loading the passengers. You need to have stairs there and either a bus or be connected to the terminal building. So they're a bit finicky about that. And some might say, well, yeah, that's realistic. And others might say, well, don't really matter if it's the same, does it? And I say, well, it's each to their own. And I see why some mod developers like to have it and others think it's pointless. I'll let you choose which one you go with. So I'm just going to put some numbers in there, just so we've got some weight in the aircraft. In fact, let's add a little bit more. Let's go 14 first class, 22 business, and let's 123 in economy. There we go. Let's go 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. Some of the exact places you tick a little finicky. It says cargo weight is a little above what we're allowed, so let's try reduce that to 4 and try and reduce that to 3. Is that okay? What about that to 3? And then that to 4. There we go. Right, CG. There appears to be no optimum CG button, so I guess it's up to you to check that the 0 CG is okay. So we've currently got 19%. If I go 4 there and then 3 there, it's now 21%, which, you know, you may say is a little better, although now that the cargo weights are funny for some reason. So let's try 4 in that one and 3 in that one. There we go. So I'm going to implement that. Invalid. What's invalid about it? What about, let's just go middle. Middle. For some reason, the middle preset is excessive on the weight. Implement invalid. What's the problem here? Here I am saying the thing's a stickler if you don't get it right. Let's just press open all. I had it on load config, but let's try open all. And again, this is why I like to show you this in real time rather than just cut out any little imperfection, because it lets you see what it's really like, not what it's like when somebody's doing a slick demonstration, which are two different things. Trust me on this, it's two different things. Right, lights. Implement, there we go. So you do need to open all, so the loading option is useless because it doesn't work. Right, fuel. And right, let's just, can we just go light, which is 14.5 tons. We're metric today, you know me, I usually like imperial, but it's metric today. To remain, let's put 1.5 tons in there. I'm sure really it's much more, but let's implement this. Bit of a bing. Okay, so with all of this done, heading 190. Great. Right, come back here then to the init page. IRS available in 0. I assume that means that they're done. So if we say align IRS on GPS, I guess that's it. Bang, it is IRS 1, 2, 3. By the way, big fan. Look at this. The 3 IRSs are not exactly the same. In other words, the sim hasn't been lazy and just copying the same thing over 3 times. It's actually running each one independently. Now, to what extent or depth that is simulated, I don't know. But I know from the 7.4 Classic by Fearless, I beg your pardon, that he does simulate his IRSs separately, which means one can drift this way, one can drift that way, and it's up to you to figure out which one is the problem, if any, you know, to fix that. Or recalibrate them and so on and so forth. Okay, so we've got now init page done. We've done the flight plan to some extent. Performance page, I guess, is next. Do we have the init page to... let's just work on from here then. So nav aids will leave all of this automatic. Return, fuel and load. So this is basically we're telling the plane what to do here. This here, we're not telling the plane. That you wouldn't normally have this on a plane. This is just the interface to let you load up the plane versus in real life, you're just going to get what you're given, right? You're going to choose how much fuel, maybe. That's it, right? Fuel on board, 16 tons. So block fuel is 16. Okay. 0 fuel weight. So if we come over to the packs... 0 fuel is 169.8. And the 0 fuel CG, in other words, where is the center of gravity on the plane if there's no fuel in it whatsoever? And in this case, 18%. So you don't want it too far forward, which would then be less. Well, you certainly don't want it too far back, because then the plane would tip backwards before you even left off the gate. I have loaded an aircraft up before and accidentally put too much weight in the back, and the thing literally tipped off the ground. Cost index doesn't really matter. Let's go with 25 for today. Somebody told me what this is, which was the jettisoned gross weight. Which was something to do with dumping fuel. I can't remember exactly. But, you know, thanks to whoever left that comment on the channel. I think it was on the old Games for Brains one. Right. Return. IRS departure. Nav aids, we've done fuel. Take off performance. Right, so this now hangs off the weights. So we've got the option to... I'm going to flex just because, you know, whoever goes toga, right? It's a 2 kilometer long runway, which is you know, it's not short, but for this aircraft, it's pretty short. 6,600. So I'm thinking we'll not mess around too much. We'll flex 45 degrees. It is pretty hot anyway. Oh, outside air temperature, as we see there, 32 degrees. So we're not flexing too much. We've got flaps 2, takeoff shift 0, and so we've got all of that stuff there. Where exactly do we get this number? Do we do it here? Yes, we do. Performance count. So slow, I'm just going to put 0 because basically, right? Flap setting 2, and based off all of that, V1 is 130, and they're actually flexing 53, so they're actually reducing a bit more even than what we said. So there we go, 53. So 30, 37, and 40. So if anything goes wrong, we stop until 130. We rotate at 137, and if we lose an engine, we climb out, hanging on to the one that we've got left at 140. Flex temp, once again, changing on the fly. We did put 53, it's now 51. We're not going to change it again. So all of that is set and done. Great. The odd bing that you can hear is just cabin crew, because that's the way some of these aircraft... Oh, sir, the air conditioning is too hot, too cold. It's too bright, it's too dark. It's, you've not put the smoking sign on. They're always unhappy. They never say, oh, ding, everybody's happy. Just thought, no, you never hear that. Right. Let's crack on with the rest of it then. So, you can, of course, do all of these checklists here, but if we take a look at the power... Then there's another menu, and then there's another menu here. So if you want to do that, knock yourself out. But again, if each one of these has then got a sub-menu with, you know, in this case, we've got 7. You can imagine how long all of that's going to take. Of course, I'm going to miss the odd thing, but, you know, my life don't depend on it. I like to just wing it and show you what's what. I really like that we've got the built-in vertical display situation here. Or the vertical situation display. This is like on the Boeing 737 when you press the center button twice, you get this. I don't know why Airbus don't have it by default, but the Airbus A350 certainly does, because we're looking at it. Alright, let's get the APU on. So master on, we'll get everybody sat down. We can hear that they've stopped loading, which is great. APU start. Yeah, there he is, upset again. So if we turn the sound on, so we can hear what he's got to say. Interphone, cabin, PA. Not entirely sure which one of those it is. I think it's the interphone, but let's have a listen.
Captain, do you really want the passengers to plunk out their eyes? Please turn on the cabin lighting.
Please turn on the cabin lighting. I mean, yeah, okay. Cabin lighting. I mean, really? Like, that's what he wanted. Okay, there, you're happy now. Alright, whatever. Let's come over here now to cabin announcements. Again, it does go on about this. So let's just say the safety demo.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and while they're running through that, the computer voice, we'll just dial that down because, you know, it does my head in to hear it. Right. Brakes. Let's have a look here. APU. How are we doing with regards to the APU? Does it show it by default here? I'm not seeing it, so I'm just going to hit it up back here somewhere. APU. There we go. 100% fuel used. I like that. A fuel use counter for the APU. Not seen that before. At 6 kilos, it's 100%. EGT stable. And so with that, APU generator on. APU bleed. And we hear it there as well. That doesn't seem to make much difference to the airflow, at least as far as I can hear it, but I'm not going to worry about such things, just I like to check. Right. Let's get rid of that, put it back on the automatic page. So the doors are still to go, so let's come over here. Aeroplane, cabin, well, we've done that. Passengers, so we need ground service, we need ground equipment. Let's get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why not? Doors, close all, and as they're closing, let's have... Oh, they're all immediately gone to green. The sounds sounded like they were closing and then clunking, but on here it's like the display was instantly green. Right, ground power, we're still connected. We know the IRSs are aligned, so let's disconnect your side. 3, 2, 1. My side. So we're on our own power. And so with that, once again, ground equipment. Let's get rid of those. And with that, we are now operating by ourselves. Let's have a quick listen to the APU. I realised we didn't hear it starting up, but... Condensation, well, it looks, I think that's pretty much an X-plane thing now, because I see it on them all and they all look pretty good. But the sound almost looks like there's a bit of an afterburner there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but almost. The sound does leave... Oh, the sound's terrible, man. It's as loud almost over here as it is... Okay, so there is that. So not great, right? But it is there. Okay, so let's get the push back, and hopefully I've done the basics. And we can make our way. So I've got to remember it's flaps 2. THS for 39%. I'm saying... 60. So is it, I'm just wondering, is that the same as CG? Takeoff for 32. So if I put in there 18%. Whoa. You see now, even though it was selected, I was typing and it changed my view rather than typed in. So again, it's pretty good, but it's not perfect. So this here is still not quite right, and it looks like my trim's right on the edge of the green band. So I'm not sure what to expect here, so we'll see. Probably someone screaming at the screen, and I'm almost sure I got something wrong somewhere, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, push back. Yeah, airfield's not really designed for something our size, but you know what, I wonder if it can just push us to there. That'll be enough.
Alright, Captain, got the directions. Let me know through the menu when you're ready.
We're ready.
Great news, Captain, your tow's coming.
Well, we're ready as we're gonna be. There is that. Right, so anything else we can do here while we're waiting? Anti-skid, we'll turn that on. Auto brake is going to be RTO, so we'll press that. Oh yeah, we've got that whole surveillance system, which is kind of weird on this one. So if we come over here to the surveillance button, you can knock yourself out, turn of all these on. I'm just going to squawk my flight number, and everything else I'm going to say default. Of course, it changes my squawk as well to default, but 4452, there we go. Everything else auto. And then as far as I'm aware, the rest of it is actually activated using these switches here. We've got weather and transponder.
Doors and closed and we're ready to connect.
But of course, could be talking to... Well, the weather controls, by the way, are still disabled, so that does not seem to be there. Parking brake here. Wasn't actually checking about the brake pressure. Should you know what? Perhaps we can check that before we start the engines by... I'll just stand on the brakes and see if it does, you know, if I just tap them on and off, on and off, on, you know, like a lorry, if you keep standing on the brakes, you can't move it then while the air recharges. Well, I'm going to see if a similar thing here. I'm just going to tap them. I'll tell you when I'm doing it, but I don't want to mess up the pushback, so I'll tell you what, perhaps we can do it while he's lifting us up. So let's go for it.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Toes connected, bypass pins inserted. Go ahead and kill the parking brake when you're ready to go.
So I'm tapping the brakes on and off, and it's literally, and it could just be because of this. Well, I'm tapping them now, and it's not doing anything. All right, anyway, he's given us clearance to push up. Those of you wondering what those bings were, it was the differential braking. Again, unique to the A350, so let's turn that off now, the cabin data. The Airbus A350 actually gives you a warning if you use too much differential braking, which is interesting. Let's clear out the MC. Just before I crank them up, I just want to see if there's anything up here that looks like I've missed it. Well, there's one.
Just about done here. Go ahead and set your parking brake.
That was the shortest push I think I've ever had, so parking brake set.
And we're disconnecting the tow. Give me just a moment.
Okie doke. That's a flat lever and a half. Right, oh then, so let's go for the start. We'll give him the signal. We'll come down here, start the switches on. I think you can do a dual start on this, and rather than me doing that much thinking, we're just going to try it out. Engine 2, engine 1, here they come, and they're certainly both cranking.
And we're disconnected. Signal and pin on the left. Take it easy and have a safe flight.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. So N2 is 11%. So either it's going to be a little slower than usual. Oh, the fuel's going in. The fuel's going in. Forget what I say. Very quiet. About the biggest Rolls Royce they build, right? The Dreamliner or the Airbus A350. I think they are. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're the biggest engines. Oh, he did push us ever so slightly into the grass, but we'll let him off on this occasion, seeing as it was me that planned it. Right, so this one here, again, I think there is a mod, I just haven't got it yet for X-Plane 12, whether it works or not, that let you use this Avitab, specifically Navigraph, on this screen, which is obviously a huge help and a little more immersive, because this is basically useless now, other than for passenger announcements, if you want to change any options on the go, until we're at the other end, really. So everything else is basically here, down here, clearly here, and your autopilot, pretty much like most of them. Anyway, all right, so we've got our, if we look here, excuse the wonky camera work there, we've got our surveillance systems here. Fuel CG forward of the limit, interesting. But let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we get rid of the CG. Sorry, all the surveillance stuff. Takeoff config test, which we're not yet there, but let's just set flaps 2, because that's what we're doing today. And we get the animation, at least electronically, down here. If we come to the wing view, there they go. Flaps are set, position 2. And there's the slats as well. Yeah, so trim looks like it's auto-trimmed for us, just like the more modern ones. I didn't change that. We saw that was like 30 odd or something beforehand, so there is that. The CG is potentially a problem. I do like all of this simulated here, tyre pressure as well as brake temperatures and so on. We'll see how much we cook those. As well, we've got the yellow brake and the green. So we've got yellow and green systems here. If I do come over here to the fuel page manually, there we see it. So now in center, and we've got what's in our tanks in the wings, basically left and right. That's it in kilos, and that seems to be it. So it looks like 3 tanks in each wing and 2 in the middle. And so far we've burnt 53 kilos from the engines. In fact, this is extremely efficient. Look at this idle thrust with 2 of the world's biggest engines, and they're guzzling what appears to me less than a can of Coke per second between them. It's certainly no more, which is, if you compare that with something like the 747-2, by goodness, you can see why that thing don't fly no more. Alright, there we go. Engine start switches to normal. Speed brake, we need to arm that, and so we just click it forward. Brakes, everything there is done. Anti-skids on, RTO's set. We've got a takeoff config check to go. Press and hold, and basically all green. I guess the fuel CG, that's it, and clearly in real life you wouldn't take it with that, but let's go for it. Oh, just pressing the brakes doesn't disconnect the parking brakes. You've actually got the parking brake lever completely separate, unlike, say, the Boeing. Just forgot. Where are we here? Nose light. There we go. Straight to on, then to taxi. So that's one of the problems of not being able to control it the way that you'd like. You know, I always like to do a little taxi test, tell you how. Does it feel like there's inertia? Does it feel like it's a massive plane or not? So I'll just tell you what I'm doing. I'll turn that down a bit. When I say now, I'm going to jam the nose wheel steering full left. So, because camera's the other way, I'll actually see the aircraft go to the right. And so, see how quick it responds. I realise we're not going that fast, so let's put a little bit of speed on. Alright, 3, 2, 1, now. Yeah, ridiculous, ridiculous. Okay, I love the inertia on the aircraft. See how it skidded and it didn't immediately respond. I like that, but no way would the nose wheel tiller go over like that. The pilot, when he moves that tiller thing, it's more like a request for the tiller to move. It's not an instantaneous connection. I mean, all of this is like power steering to the max. It's, anyway. We take a look here. So it's this thing here, which, by the way, they've not even animated. But yeah, when you turn that, it's not. You know, if you rev that back and forth, the nose wheel isn't going to be doing this. Just leave it alone. Come on, because you'll be upsetting some. Others will be laughing, and the rest will be saying, "Yeah, this would make 5-year-olds laugh." But come on, you're not 5. Yeah, legend does it. I'm not. So there we go, trying to get the full width of the taxiway. And I don't think this one has a taxi cam, despite the switch that seems to suggest otherwise. Or landing camera, should I say. It certainly never did. Video, what does that view? Oh, so inside the cabin. Yeah. Alright, here we go then, runway 19. I'll do my cursory check, even though I'm single player. We'll put these strobe lights on, wing lights on, landing lights on, nose lights off. I think this is a little narrower than the usual. Let's put full lock on then. And yeah, so you can... Again, the brake pedals, the rudder's animated, but not when I tap the brakes. The brake part of it is. Yeah, look at that. Way sharp. So you can really turn this thing round. Imagine it like a mega long bus going around a tight turn. You know, you've got to swing right round. Well, same with this. Times about 3 or 4 because it's that long. Right, let's put the volume up and I'll shut up for takeoff. And we'll see how it goes. So, flight directors are armed. I'm not sure if you need to arm the auto throttle on this, but you know what, just in case. I've pressed it, but yeah. Clearly, it's a thing that comes automatic with Airbus when you take off, unlike the Boeings where you got to do it. And so let's go for it. 3, 2, 1. By the way, flight controls check. Good call. Check's good. Engines are stable. And there's your caution, so if you didn't see it before, you'd have bought now, but we're going flex 51. Whoa, there you go. Serves you right for trying to be cinematic, man. Oh, see that vortice, that wing vortice off the right, that was beautiful. Oh, I'm glad I did it now. Wheels in, let's keep the climb going. Right, they folded away nice and quick. Yeah, the sound is, well, the external sound's horrific. And the internal ones are only marginally better. They're still pretty poor. Right, throttle back then from flex 51 to climb. I do have the auto-ortho thing running, and so what you see is what you get. We're just off the Gulf of Mexico here. The southern part of North America. If we were to fly further on there to the east or southeast, we'd end up in Florida, Miami eventually. Still flying manually. Did I bring that? No, I did not. So let's go flaps 1. Quick passenger view there. Slats stay pretty much where they were. I think this must, like most Airbus, have auto flat retraction, and there's one way to find out. We'll dump the nose some and we'll see if they come in by themselves. So I'm not going to touch the flaps. And there they go. So just the flaps. The slats stay extended. Of course, most people who fly Airbus know it does that in the sim, but those that only Boeing, there you go. So we'll bring in the flaps now, which just gets rid of the slats. Can disarm the speed brakes or the spoilers. Auto brake RTO, that cuts out by itself because it's an Airbus. And I'm just going to have a little bit of funny again because I'm not really flying a flight plan, so you can get to see a little bit what it's like. So we'll cut out the flight directors because we're doing our own thing. I'll cut out the auto throttle. And I'm just going to fly it myself. Now, again, we've got this notification here for the changeover at 5,000. That must be a standard thing because we're nowhere near flight levels 180, and some should say, you should have put it in there. Indeed I should. Well, I've done it now and it stopped beeping, and so yeah, it was indeed my fault. Right. Airbus doing its thing, so it won't let me, you know, you couldn't roll it if you tried, unlike the Boeing. If you really tried, you could do it. I mean, on this, you can't even stall it unless you turn, you know, the safety stuff off. But for now, we're just going to do it with the stuff on. And I always like to do some of these tests. So is the joy... Yeah, that is animated. So you can see what I'm doing. This, by the way, was fly-by-wire stuff. So I didn't press the pedal there. So when I roll left, it puts the bit of left boot in. That's the Airbus fly-by-wire doing it, not me. And so what I'm going to try and do is overstress the aircraft, which in the Boeing is, you know, you can do it. Airbus should stop me, so I'm going to dump the nose. You're just going to have to... I can't keep putting the view down there, so when I say I'm pushing this stick all the way down, you're just going to have to believe me. That's what I'm doing. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, all the way down. A little aggressive, but not too bad, and it limits us. Look at that. We're about 15 degrees. I've still got it pushed all the way down. It's not letting me go any further. I'm going to let go of the stick now, and we'll just see if it does anything for the speed. Shouldn't let us over speed, but it's gonna. Doesn't really do much to the engines, but it does pitch us up. So we overspeed by about 30 knots, which ain't too bad, right? Of course, they've got safety margins and whatnot built into this, and they factor in that there could be a gust. You know, it's in there. Right, clear out the MCs. I'm going to pull it all the way back at the red. 3, 2, 1 now. We're at the barber pole. That's a very, very fast rate of pitch for such a high speed. 17,000 feet, but it has limited us to 30 degrees. Dump in the nose, 3, 2, 1 now. Like a theme park ride, man. I think the rate of pitch is a little too aggressive. I forgot what those real Airbus guys say, but it's less than 10 degrees per second. I forgot what they said it was. AP, hang on. Hey, look at this. APU Mach limit exceeded. APU bleed fault. I forgot to switch the APU off, and I've actually knackered it by flying too fast. I like that. And we've got... I like it. I like it. So let's get rid of the APU bleed. Let's get rid of the APU. I really like that they've done that. 10 points. And once again, the fly-by-wire fixing itself because I went too fast. Love it. All right, let's try do a store check. Idle thrust. And I'm just going to pull all the way and keep pulling. So let's just go to 30 degrees. We go to 31 for a split second and it pushes us back. I'm still pulling back on the stick regardless of what this now does. There's green dot. And there's the buffer. We're getting into the emergency bit here, and there the nose is pushing us over, so it's not letting us stall. And because it's dumping the nose, the stall speed's reducing. Lower G, lower stall speed, lower angle of attack rate. And there you go. Stall speed and angle of attack increases with it. I'm still pulling back on the stick, and autopilot's already given us toga. I'm still pulling back on the stick. It's basically riding that stick shaker up. Right, okay, great. Alpha floor, as the Airbus was calling it. Right, let's dump the nose. Gonna try roll it all the way to the left. Keep the stick to the left. And I think it's something like, what is it, 75 or 80 degrees, I think Airbus will let you go if you hold it. Oh, look at that, it's trying to correct for the stall, so I'm going to dump the nose. And I really like that. Look at that dynamic stall speed there, based on angle of attack. So I push the nose, look at it disappears. I pull back on the stick, look at it come back up. And there's alpha floor already, even though we're doing 260 knots, so it's working really well. So, again, I'm just going to disconnect the auto throttle. Bye. Again, or even with auto throttle disconnected, if it needs it, it's going to put it on. Look, if I pull back and alpha floor kicks in, watch this. There it goes. Toga. Look at it. And that's even though the throttles are all the way back. So, you know, protection upon protection, right, in the Airbus. So, I have to say, from what I've seen of it, the stuff is there. So let's dive down. Oh yeah, and if you try roll it like 80 odd degrees and then let go, in theory, it should level it off to, I think it's 30 or 35 or something like that. Yeah, look, it's doing it now. So there we go, 30 degrees with a, what's that, about 12 degrees down. Again, so if I roll it all the way to those eyebrows and then let go. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, as best I can tell, the thing is working perfectly. Right. So let's begin our descent now. Again, I just love that vertical profile that we've got there. Oh, we're getting up to the barber pole, so I'm just going to pull back manually there. Still got that CG limit. Good job that we arranged the passengers and everything so it still flies. Oh, I love that. The way the aircraft just popped into the clouds and popped back out there. That looked amazing. Right, let's see how effective the boards are. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's pull them all the way. There we see them. Let's roll the aircraft, and I'm going to try nosedive. Right down to the limit. Oh, not as... They're not magical, so they do behave like you've got real aircraft with real inertia. You can't just, like some that remain unnamed, tap the brakes and all of a sudden you can put it into a 45-degree dive like it's nothing. No, this does respond. Little bit of turbulence, very minor as we go through the clouds. Do have real world weather set up here. Oh, look at the wing flutter with the turbulence, with the excess speed. Alright, let's pull back just to slow down a tad. Let's put the boards away, see if that at all impacts or reduces the flutter, because it should do, because it does cause a little bit of vibration to the boards. And I think some of that is the turbulence. I don't think we've seen the flutter adjust at all there, so let's pull them out again. Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same as it was. Yeah, but look at the speed dropping off. So I'm reducing the boards now all the way. Stop climbing. I noticed, of course, spoiling the air. Yeah, brilliant. All right, let's carry on then. So I'm not going to go all the way to Daffin because there's no point. Let's go direct BFM. So direct to drop down list. Bravo Fox Mike. Direct to. And we've got the new line. Great. So where are we here? Flight directors on. We've got the heading select, which obviously I don't want. I want nav mode, which is push, right? But it doesn't have it because we've gone too far. So let's turn it to 340, and we'll put the autopilot on as well. And let's go 340. And once we turn through this green dotted line, it should grab the nav at some point between here and this dotted line. So let's see it. Speed-wise, let's pull it and ask for, I don't know, let's ask for 250 for now. Auto throttle. So we need the levers now into the climb position. There they go, they're happy. Throttling back as it gets near to 250. Great. And look at that. Autopilot there. We've even got the intercept point markated. So where this dotted line intersects with BFM. So if we roll They're heading right. We should see that intercept point get closer to us. So if I zoom in on the display, let's put like a few degrees on here and watch this intercept point. Yeah, look at that, man. That is the best. I don't think I've seen another module show that intercept point as well. I realize it's not like the biggest thing in the world, but I like it. I like it. Wind updates very, very quickly with regards to the speed. So once we hit this intercept point, in theory, we should be turning left direct to BFM. Speaking of which, Bravo Fox Mike, airport's approach page. Let's get rid of that because it's cheating, even though we know exactly where we are. Bravo Fox Mike, with regards to this approach, well, the info begins at 2,000 feet. So we need to be 2,000 feet there by Brookley. And there's the intercept turn. We've got nav selected, so that's in there. Great. So I'm going to set 2,000 feet. I'm going to switch the thing here to hundreds. Oh, let's move the camera over a bit. There we go. 2,000, and let's get the descent by 500 feet a minute. Do we get a display? Not yet. And because I am freestyling this, rather than just follow the whole approach procedure, and there we go, yeah, we do get that little arrow where we are expected to bottom out at 2,000 feet. So it's just like the arc on the Boeing. I gotta say, I really do prefer that arc on the Boeing over this arrow, but I do like that the arrow's response is instantaneous, and I do like that it goes around the corner as well for the flight plan. So, you know, swings and roundabouts to have on them all. But yeah, rather than follow this procedure through, I'm going to just wing it now to the destination. The only thing I need now for the approach is the information. So winds, we were saying, was 0, basically we're calm. Outside was 32 degrees because I remember that. The QNH were in QNH. It was altimeters 3006. Although it still says QNH, which is obviously wrong. QNH 1018, altimeter 3006. I'm going to leave it on the QNH setting. Interesting, there it says 1017. There it says 1018. Again, minor things, but still 1018. Let's put that in. Minimums, well, usually if it's ILS, but you know, we're going visual, so let's put 500 feet. Flaps full, which gives us an approach of 138, a landing speed of 133. So everything is in. So I'm going to disconnect the auto throttle, disconnect the autopilot. Yeah, okay.
Priority left.
There we go. Right.
2,000.
Yep. Speaking of which, if I was to really... Right, good. So FITAV is the FAF at 15, so I'm going to aim for that. Just vaguely. FITAV, which is about 5 miles away. And I'm not going to worry about the rest. Again, if you want to watch procedures, this ain't the video. I'm just freestyling it and just going to push the aircraft, you know, so I'm not going to try and butter it or anything like that. We're trying to... I don't know what yet. It'll just come to me at the right time. So let's go to the max zoom now of 10 nautical miles. Really big fan of this ND here. I was going to say ND display, but I guess ND display. The dirt is the display. The navigation display. There we go. By the way, unlike some of the other Airbuses, which does make me question, is it like this in the... really in the A350, or is it just Flight Factor? I haven't quite... Which is... if you add or drop power, clearly the engines being below the wings affects the pitch of the aircraft. Usually Airbus counteract for that. but not, it seems, in this. So if I add power now, watch the vertical speed there. See the aircraft pitch up a little bit, and now the vertical speed with it usually, alright, eventually the vertical speed. There, look at the pitch drop again as I cut the power. I add power. It's only going by a degree or so this time. I know someone's going to say, yeah, that's just the aerodynamic forces of... Yeah, but Airbus typically... You know, they make up for that in the fly-by-wire, which is, you know, that's one of the big things about the Airbus. So there's the runway that we're going for. So let's begin. And again, I'm making it up. So here we go.
Two 2,500.
Pull up. Terrain. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up. Terrain. Think rate. Think rate.
Air brakes or spoilers. I guess the pretty much spoilers on airlines, aren't they? And some have got air brakes. Technicality, right? Flaps 1. Still away with the boards now.
1,000.
We'll arm the auto brake. Score brake 2. Right. Flaps 2. Bit of an overspeed. Here comes the gear. Right. Bit of right rudder for side slip. And that is slipping nicely. Look at the speed drop off with that slip, man. Got the pedal all the way in. Right, next lot of eyebrows, come on. There we go, flaps 3. I'm still slipping.
500.
Right, up a bit more just so we can get the eyebrows. I've got the pedal all the way in. Right, flaps 4.
Minimum.
Think rate. Think rate. Think
Right,
rate.
let's swap pedals.
Think rate.
Full
Think
left
rate.
boot now. Round
rate.
she goes.
Think rate.
I've got the controls
Think
fully
rate.
over to the right, so I'm going to have to
Pull
let
up.
go a little bit of the
Think
pedal.
rate.
100.
rate.
100. 90. 80.
Think rate. Think rate. Think rate.
30.
Think rate.
20. 20. 20. 20. 20. 20.
Power.
Retard. 10. Retard. 10. Retard. Retard. Retard.
Up she goes. Positive rate. Gear up. Flaps 3. I have to say, man, I mean, it felt like it was a big plane to me that was fly-by-wired up to the max. There was nothing that felt horrific about it. It felt, you know, someone's going to say, well, have you ever flown an A350 before? Stuff like, it's like, come on, man. I've flown enough aircraft in the sim and enough other aircraft in real life to know when the sim overall gets it right versus not. You know, can you be 100%? No. But, you know, you can get a feel for it. And that's a thing that, unfortunately, you know, it's the same type when you say, oh, I've got a bad cold, and somebody says, why, are you a doctor now? It's like, you don't need to be a doctor to know if you've got, you know, and it's, you get those sorts of people. Can't stand them, man. And yeah, so there, if you are one of those, I've addressed you. But for everybody else that just, you know, appreciates that, does it feel right in your experience of flying various aircraft in the sim? My answer is yes. And the few single engined in real life, and gliding as well. I did my glidings and advanced glider train actually, which of course completely different again, but it's not just the type of aircraft that you fly, but the amount. And I'd say the more aircraft that you fly,
1,000.
the more you get an overall feeling of what they all do and don't do, and
Terrain,
so you
think
can
rate.
pretty much
Think rate. Terrain. Pull up.
get a feel for it.
Terrain.
Can you
Terrain.
approach with
Up.
gear down and
rate.
flaps on this
rate.
aircraft? Yes, you can.
300.
Some Airbus, they, you know,
Think
once you
rate.
dump the gears and
Think
flaps,
rate.
they don't
Think
let you
rate.
use the
200.
spoilers.
Think rate. Think rate.
But this one
Think
does.
Rate. Think rate. Think rate. Think rate.
80. 70.
I do
rate.
like-
Think rate. Think rate.
20. 10.
Oh! The response there was very slow. Right, it's idle reverse. And again, as I stand on the pedals, look at the, you know, you can see the delay there. That's real inertia. That is almost too much inertia that makes it very difficult to stay center line when things get, you know, you can see there. And that's, again, what, you know, those people that only fly flights in 2020, I'll just say it here and now. It's little things like that, but 1,000 times over, why anybody still plays X-Plane. And it's why, until Flight Sim gets this right, and whether it's 2024, I doubt it somehow, but let's just say, until that happens, X-Plane will continue to thrive and survive. Despite being a long-distance second place, it will continue to be there. And until next time, from somewhere in North America, wherever in the world you may be, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I hope you enjoyed that video. Until next time from me here, take care, ta-ra. Can he do a handstand? Oh, nearly. The front wheel nearly went. Perhaps a bit more speed. Come on. Come on, you've said goodbye, now you're carrying on. Well, it's bonus content, innit? Most people click off as soon as they hear that, alright then, that's it, next video. I know I was one of them, but come on. Look at the reflections at the bottom of the plane, man. Funny how you zoom in and half of them disappear, but never mind. Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, full brakes. We got the nose wheel to lift off. Alright, until next time, wherever the world you may be. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.